Parkour continues to be a sport dominated by the young, and while I don't think this is ever going to change, I do think that there is potential for older freerunners to perform at a high level. Videos have been made about parkour and aging before, and it's usually with someone in their 20s giving their unscientific and anecdotal take. So I decided I would make a video, and here I am giving my anecdotal and unscientific take. So age is something that comes to mind more often to me now, and it's not because I'm feeling like I'm getting slower or any older, it's more because I'm just gradually getting into more uncharted territory, and all logic points to that the gain train is eventually going to come to its final stop. I remember starting parkour at 17 years old and watching the first video I ever saw of David Bell, who was 27 at the time, so 10 years older than me, and I told myself that in 10 years I would be that good. I don't think I ever put an age on exactly how old I figured I would be when I would start to slow down, but if you're young and you're watching this video, then we both know that that age is 30. So here I am now at age 35, sidelined with an injury, but still progressing at parkour, and there are some very good reasons for why I'm able to do that, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. But first we're going to talk about just how old a person can be and still do parkour at an advanced level. And if we have to define what an advanced level of parkour is, we could say that it's performing all the fundamental movements, but being able to do them at scale with some sort of added complexity as well. So an example of this could be doing something like an 11 feet or more running precision over the height of your own head and, sticking it. Leading this category in a league entirely of his own is Beau Kendall. The man has just reached his mid-50s and appears to still be capable of hitting some sizable challenges with added complexity. Time will tell whether or not he's a genetic anomaly. I certainly believe he is in many ways, but time will tell whether or not anyone else will be hitting some of these challenges he is able to at his age. To me, he is the oldest and only example of someone older than 50 able to do advanced parkour. It's not to say that there aren't people around that age doing parkour and that they aren't doing some impressive things in their own right, but if you're a young kid who's already quite advanced and you look at someone like Beau Kendall, you might think, hey, that would be pretty cool if I could still do that kind of thing when I'm that age. The problem with using someone like Beau as a gauge for yourself is that he did not start parkour at a young age. I'm sure he's always been athletic, but it's not like he was shooting his legs at concrete walls in his teens or 20s. Watching someone like Beau can show us that if you are a fit person in your 40s or even late 30s, you can continue to do advanced parkour into your 50s. But it doesn't tell us if you can continue to progress for that long. You'd have to ask Beau yourself if he still feels like he's progressing, which is a tough question to put on anyone because we always want to feel like if we're progressing if we are trying to progress. And real quick, before I keep talking about parkour and progress, let's take a look at the old dictionary. Progress, to move forward, to develop to a higher, better, or more advanced stage. I'm sure there are folks who believe that if they finesse their hand placement on a vault or something, that this would be progress. And I would agree that it is meaningful to make small technical adjustments over time, but this isn't really progress to your total game unless you're making a lot of these adjustments over time. So the only way that we can really determine whether or not we're progressing our total game with parkour is if we are completing challenges. If you can continue to complete challenges that are better or more advanced, then you are progressing.
Ooh!
There are two different ways that time affects our progression. There is age and training age. Someone who starts parkour at age 35 could probably see 10 years of progression all the way to age 45, whereas someone who starts parkour at age 25 probably is not going to progress all the way to age 45 because that would be 20 years of progression. You're going to make your most improvement when you're new at something. So in parkour, like other sports, you're going to make your most improvement in those first 5 years. You could look like a completely different athlete from year 1 to year 2, whereas year 6 and year 7 might look very similar. But do you need to be progressing to do cool shit? Absolutely not. And as Beau and many others have shown us, you do not need to continue to progress in terms of your overall game to continue to be able to do advanced and interesting things. I see a lot of practitioners past the 10-year mark continue to be able to do some of the cool stuff they've always done. You could say that one of the beautiful things about parkour is that there are so many styles and ways that you can go with it to continue to engage yourself for years. I mean, going to new spots and completing challenges that you've never seen before has its own fulfillment that doesn't actually even require you to get better at parkour. And right now, parkour is still seeing a lot of development with skills. There are always new trends and styles coming out. For example, right now, tic-tacs and their variations are hotter than they've ever been before. So you might find yourself just seeing more tic-tacs and doing them more, and before you know it, you start to see a lot of progress with tic-tacs because you've never actually trained them a lot before. So we've established that advanced moves can be done well past age 30 and even past age 50, but how long can a freerunner not only practice parkour at an advanced level, but at an elite level? To help answer this question, I looked into other sports like soccer and basketball. In both of these sports, you will find players playing at the highest level even into their 40s. Now, it might not be their highest level, they might not be continuing to progress at all, but because they were so good at one point, they can continue to take advantage of the technical and tactical experiences they have and continue to compete against players who are much younger and more dynamic. Now, there are some very good reasons we don't have anything close to this in parkour. Let's say we had a league consisting of the highest level freerunners in the world. Now, this would be judged based on their performance across all skills. And you would probably be able to get some freerunners in their 30s in that, but definitely not anyone over the age of 35. The reason for this is not age alone. Although I'm sure it plays a factor, there are many other reasons why elite parkour is a young person's game. In order for someone in their 30s to be hanging with all the young new talent, they would have need to have already been really good when they were younger. So you'd have to look back to before 2010 and see who was really good then. But what you're probably going to find is that the freerunners that were at the top then are either really shadows of their former selves right now, or they have quit parkour entirely. To do parkour at an elite level is draining. The better you get, the more physically and mentally difficult the challenges get. I've worked out 3 main reasons why the effort required to do parkour at an elite level can become too much. First of all, parkour doesn't pay, at least not just doing parkour. You might be able to create content that can help you earn a living through YouTube, but simply doing parkour on the streets and banging out the hardest challenges isn't enough to make you a living. So many amazing freerunners may need to get a full-time job in order to support themselves, and that may take away from the time needed to continue to be the best. Second of all, parkour is dangerous. Aging is gradual, but an injury can turn your world upside down in an instant. A lot of top freerunners get hurt a lot, and the chronic pain over time can sometimes win over the reward they get from doing parkour. And the third thing is that maybe parkour was only their first love. Many freerunners can end up falling in love with something or someone else. And if this other love doesn't complement their practice, then they might find that they cannot dedicate as much time as they need to parkour. Not only is parkour at an elite level hard to maintain, but it's also really hard to keep getting better when you're already that good. If you're a natural, meaning that you got to the most elite level in parkour in your first 5 years of training, then you don't really have a lot to improve at. Whereas if you just got to an advanced level within your first 5 years of training, but you're a far cry away from being an elite level practitioner, then that means you have athletes above you to inspire you, and the challenges that you're working with just aren't as stressful. Which brings us to the case in point. Me. I started off this video saying that at age 35 with 18 years of training that I'm still progressing. And I can say this because in the last year I completed challenges that I did not see myself doing at age 30. One of the biggest reasons that I feel like I've been able to do this is because when I started parkour, I wasn't very good. Still not very good. Not only that, but parkour at the time was not very good. In 2003, if you could do all the vaults, you've made it. Like, yo, I can do kongs, lazy vaults, reverse vaults. I'm the best in the world. I've also made some life choices that have kept me able to train. I opened up 2 parkour gyms and have yet to figure out how to make money from them. But they do allow me to train a lot. And I also married someone who understands that training is really important to me and supports me. But yeah, mostly parkour just wasn't very good when I started doing it. So as the sport has developed, I've always had different things to work on. All right, so I'm gonna bring this video to an end, and I'm gonna mention 2 more things that are going to help you from feeling like parkour is going to age you out sooner rather than later. Number 1, be consistent. That means doing the training sessions that you don't want to and staying in shape. If you reduce your training, you're going to get out of shape, and it's going to make it harder to get back into shape, or even worse, you will get injured more easier when you return back to more intense training. Even if you're going to take a break from parkour, staying in shape is the best and simplest way to make getting back into parkour easier. Number 2, train with the up-and-coming youth.
Harness their life force and drink their souls.
But actually, if you train with the young kids who are getting better at a rapid pace, it's gonna do at least one of 3 things. First of all, it's kind of like passing on the torch. So by spending more time around them, you're gonna be able to help them by sharing your experiences. Second of all, they're gonna be practicing techniques in a modern way that is probably newer and maybe even better than the way that you learned. And finally, young athletes have physical and mental powers that you don't. This means they might be able to break jumps for you by doing them first, so that it makes it easier for you to visualize yourself doing them. They might also point out jumps that you never thought were possible. I gotta say that training sessions in recent years with youth that are nearly half of my age are some of the best sessions.
You girls keep me young. Oh, I love you so much.
If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if this discussion gave you any feelings or thoughts that you want to share, please drop me a comment. And yeah, stay chiseled.